Mr. Vohra, thank you very much for joining us today. Could we start by if you could just introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Suman Vohra.
I'm Vinod Vohra,
Great. And you're both from India?
both from India, yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about your background, where you were born and your childhood?
I was born in Punjab.
Mm-hmm.
At the age of 15, I moved here to Wolverhampton. I moved to Wolverhampton and went to school there for a year and a half. Then I left. Went into, my brother was in business. I started with him in the business. I worked there till I was 22. At the age of 24, my father came over from India, and that's the time I went back to India, got married to my wife. 6 months, 5 months later, she moved here, and we stayed in Wolverhampton for a year and a half after that. And one day we decided to come to Scotland. We came here for a week for a holiday, and we liked the place so much. A month later we moved here and been here ever since. It's been almost 42 years.
And yourself?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was born and brought up in India. I studied there and in Dehradun, which is north of India. And as my husband says, I done my BSc, and then he came to get married in India. And from the previous, before the partition, my family knew his family, and somebody suggested. So it was arranged marriage, and within 6 days we got married. And at that time I didn't even have passport or my visa, so obviously had to stay there for 6 months. He came here, then after 6 months I joined him here. That was in June, 9th of June 1974. We got married in December 73 and came here in 74. And well, it was in Wolverhampton, and then I stayed there for a year and that, and then we, as my husband says, we came here for a holiday, and then we liked the place because this is more kind of my hometown, and so I really liked it, so we just moved here.
Okay, great. And did you have any kind of expectations or concerns about coming to Britain and then to Scotland?
Nothing at all.
No? There wasn't any feeling of there was going to be a big change? Or?
No. We just fitted in very well.
Well, especially Scotland is more like of my hometown, so it's like hills and rivers and everything, greenery, lot of greenery. So it was, so I wasn't very happy in Wolverhampton because that was more of kind of Punjab in India, and and it was a bit different for me. But over here I really liked it.
Okay.
Really liked it. Since then, I mean, touchwood, we are quite happy.
And what were your initial experiences living in Scotland like?
Well, living in England and moving here wasn't much difference.
And coming from Punjab, was that quite a difference?
I was only 15 when I came here.
Right.
So to me, I don't remember much. I mean, I've been here 52 years, so it's a long time to remember the one when you were before, when you were 15 or...
Sure. And yourself?
No, I was quite happy here because, well, obviously at the beginning when I came here, I did feel a bit lonely. But when I came here, we started business, got myself busy, and we are both working in the same business, and we had a family. So I had my daughter after a year and a half of my marriage. Then after that, obviously you're so busy, you don't think of much. The only thing was obviously I was missing my mom and the family there. But well, you do settle, wherever your home is, you do settle there. And I mean, the local people beside our business, they were very, very nice people. So it was nothing
We
that
got on
I
really
could.
well.
That's good. And whereabouts was the business in Edinburgh that you
Edinburgh.
started?
Edinburgh.
Whereabouts in Edinburgh was it?
One was, when we started off, it was in Leithorp,
Okay.
We were there for about 8 months
Mm.
with a newspaper shop, and I couldn't get up in the morning. So all my papers were stolen by the time I got there.
We had a lady there, who, local Scottish lady, who was very, very nice. I still
So-
remember Mrs. Fernie. She
Fernie,
was
yeah.
so good, and she used to open the shop, and it was beside the
Bus
bus
station.
station.
Right.
It's not there anymore now. If you see in Litwalk,
Mhm.
middle of that, that place is still empty. There used to be a bus station there, so all the drivers used to come for the paper and the sweets and the cigarettes there. So we had that for 8 months, and then after that we had wine and spirit shop.
Okay.
And at that time, there was no superstores,
Mhm.
so people
No
used to come
supermarkets,
supermarkets, and people
mean,
used
we
to come
were,
from far to buy all this, drinks and that. So we were quite busy in that shop as well, and plus we used to retail and wholesale to some of the shops, local shops. So it was good.
Yeah. So that
Good
was the
start.
first kind of two businesses.
Correct.
Yeah, that's great.
Where was the wine shop?
Broughton Road.
Broughton Road.
Broughton Road.
Broughton Road.
It was beside the powder hall.
Mm-hmm.
If
Powder
you
Hall.
remember that. I mean,
I recognise your faces right away. I grew
Is
up
it?
in Stockbridge. Yeah,
Oh,
so
right.
I know
No, in
Broughton.
Stockbridge, our shop was in Clarence Street.
in Clarence Street
On the
as
corner
well.
in the basement.
Aye.
After that, we had that shop as well in
Along in Stockbridge.
That's
the
right.
corner shop of Clarence Street and between Clarence Street and Henderson
It
Road.
was over the road from my primary school, Stockbridge.
Correct.
I used
Stockbridge.
to come in and see you every day.
I know it's a small word,
And what was your early social life and lifestyle like in Edinburgh?
Well, when we came here, there wasn't many Asians here, except we knew Nina, and there was another 2 or 3 families we knew, and that's about it. And I mean, the first few years were very limited social life because we worked 7 days a week.
Right.
So even if we met up, it was after the business, and we did have some social life, but not a lot.
And was it mostly with people from an Indian background, or was there a mix of people?
Mix of people.
Mix of
Mix of people. We knew some Pakistani friends as well. So they were all here, and I knew them through the business.
Right.
So we got on quite well with them.
With everybody, I think even the local people were very, very nice. So we had like Scottish friends, we had all around. They were very nice. So it was nice. The only thing was, obviously, we only had very little time to socialize because of the kids. At that time, I had one daughter. Then after 3 years, I got my son as well. So it was very limited time we had after the business, working 7 days a week. And our wine shop, as it was open till 10 at night. So by the time you finish your work, come home, make your food and that, and then in the morning you are up again and take your children to school, back to work. So that was our life.
Yeah.
We worked very, very hard at that time. And we sent our kids to private school. For that, we had to work really, really hard.
Yeah, sure. You said you had your brother was in Wolverhampton?
My elder brother was in Wolverhampton, but when we moved here, the rest of my family moved here one by one.
Oh, really?
My nephews and my brother,
Sister.
my sister. My sister and my brother moved here, and so did their kids. My brother had 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. And my sister had 2 girls and 2 boys. She moved here too. And now they're all grown up and set up their own business, and they haven't looked back since.
Great. So did you both have family here?
Yes, I have my brother and sisters, but now they're both gone.
Oh, right. Okay.
So there is only my sister-in-law who's still living, and my nephews and my nieces.
So quite a big family network, though.
Very big family. When we get together, we have a Christmas get together. We have 40 people at a time, you know.
Wow.
40 of us. We have to host one meal every 5 years.
Because we take our turns.
Yeah, sure.
His nephews and nieces and that. And from my side, I don't have anybody here.
Right.
But his nephews and nieces and the family, sister-in-law, they're all very good. So I never felt that you know, I'm alone.
Right.
Being busy as well. So, and keep myself busy anyway. Do a lot of like work as well, charity work. You can say, and help at the Mandir as well, our temple as well. So we've been doing it for years now. So you know, so I always keep myself busy as well. So never felt that we are alone here. Plus our neighbors are very good. So we always get together with neighbors, like birthdays and anniversaries and that. So it's really, really nice atmosphere here.
That's great.
When we moved here about 30 years now.
Yeah,
Yeah, 30 years. ago.
89.
89.
In this house we moved in.
Moved in here about 28, 30 years now. So when I came here, I went out to every neighbor, you know, and invited them in for a meal. So the whole street was invited, and about 10 of them came, and maybe 5 or 6 didn't come. But since then, we've been so good friends. We know each other, and any function happens in the street, we are invited to it. Or if we have something, they are invited to it. So
That's great.
we get on really well with them.
Yeah. Well, after the shop, yes, we had a cafe as well. It was one was in Victoria Street, and then we had in Castle Street after that. So you know, doing it was like a cafe opening in the morning 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock in the evening, and we made a lot of friends from offices as well, like George Street and that. You know, but it was really nice. As
Great.
well.
And did you have these businesses at the same time, or was it
No. At the,
one after the other?
No.
one
one-
after the other. Every time we started a new business.
Right.
We wanted to do something different, got fed up of something, go and do something else. So after doing takeaway, we're doing a takeaway for about 4 years. And 4 years or later, we got enough experience for the catering. So we took over a cafe, which had 120 seats. So
In Castle Street.
in Castle Street.
Right.
No, not in Castle Street, in the other one. What's the name of that street?
Victoria Street.
Victoria Street.
Right.
Victoria Street.
So we had a cafe in there, and then after that, we had a cafe in Castle Street. Then she ran the cafe for about 4
6 years.
6 years. So I got fed up of it. I walked out one day and I started my building business.
Right. Wow.
And I was running that cafe on my own with the staff, obviously, with the
Yeah.
great help. And then I went and opened because it was far too much for me, 7 days a week and no holidays at all. So then I thought, oh, maybe post office will be good. So we'll have like public holidays and that. So I went and got the post office. So I was running the post office.
It was the
for-
worst decision we made.
So I was
We
running
had
the
so
post
much
office.
work. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, at least having a day off here and there.
Yeah.
But post office, oh my God. She never used to come home till 9 o'clock at night, still writing, you know, where's this 10 pence gone, or where's that 50 pence
No,
gone.
that was every Wednesday we had to do the stock taking. So that was the reason that you know I had to stay there. Every Wednesday evening we had to do the balance.
Right.
So that's how you thought, oh, but that's far too much because by the time I come home it was 9, half 9,
Yeah. Sure.
and you know it was.
And I was in the building trade, and I finished work at 4:30. And I'm waiting here. I said, where is she? Yeah. Then I joined the gym.
Ah. Right.
I joined the gym, and 4:30 I used to finish and go there till 6:30, and then come home.
Well, by the time then I got home as well, so start cooking and all this. So.
Yeah. It seems like you ran half of Edinburgh.
We almost
Yes.
did.
Well, mine we had like different businesses as well,
At
so
different times.
at different timings,
Yeah, yeah.
not at once,
Yeah,
but
sure.
Work.
yeah.
If I didn't like the job, if I didn't like the business, I worked in.
Mm.
I walked away from it. Not once, 3 or 4 times.
A lot of
And
strength in
I
that.
think
So if
the
it's-
God has been very helpful there for us. He's been there for us. That we believe in God, and God has been really
Mm.
He's been showing us the way that that this is a
If
and
one
every
door
time
shuts,
it was a new.
if the one
every-
door shuts, the other one opens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And every time it was something different we done, and which I'm not a business background from my previous from my marriage before my marriage. My dad used to be the officer in Survey of India, so I had no clue of running any business. And when I landed here, the very next day, it was my sister-in-law's business, grocery shop, and my sister-in-law was away to India, and my brother-in-law says, I got no one to look after the shop. So very next day, I stood in the shop, which I had no clue how to run it.
When you moved to Scotland, was there any, getting to know Scottish culture? Was there any changes in that regard, or any surprises? Anything that surprised you?
I didn't see any difference because I was brought up in England,
Of course, yeah.
and moving here was no different than England. But I found the Scottish people more friendly.
Okay.
Yeah, same I would say as well. I mean, yeah, obviously there was little culture difference, but not that much because when I was studying, I was at college, and you see everything over there anyway, so it wasn't. I didn't feel much difference.
Okay. And how you seem to have felt quite welcome when you came to Scotland?
We certainly did. Yeah.
Yes.
Was there anything in particular that made you feel particularly welcome, or?
Yes, we had good friends. We can say the story of Mr. Guthrie. I mean, when we were living in Stockbridge, and we had a neighbor there who was an ex-army officer, and he was so friendly. They didn't have any of their own kids. They fostered 7 children. One of them used to come and see them, and he was so funny that he was always well dressed up in the morning, and then he will take his shoes and say, oh, here, let me just polish them because your shoes are never polished, and and
It was so funny.
and he used to then leave a note there, that's your humble servant.
your shoes are done, and your neighbor, your humble servant.
And then once he went to New York for a few days, and when I had the shop in Stockbridge and corner of that Clarence Street, and he used to come and look after me all the time. And I said, he said that I'm away, so make sure that she's okay, And because I was open till 10 o'clock, then he used to say, I said, Mr. Guthrie, please go home. I have something to eat and that. And his wife will bring she will bring the dinner there.
She'll
And
bring the dinner there. To
he
the
won't
shop.
go home. I said, why aren't you going home? He says, if I go, somebody will rob you. So I won't leave you alone because it's my responsibility to look after you. I mean, really, really nice neighbors. And, even then after that, we moved to Blackhall. Over there, we had excellent neighbors. My son was very young at that time. He was like a toddler. He used to, I used to change his nappy, and while I'm changing the nappy, he'll just crawl into the neighbor's house because we both had identical bungalows there. So he'll just go in there, and she used to make pancakes for him, and he used to say, Mrs. Fee, where's my pancake? She used to make pancakes. It was really, we really had nice neighbors.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And no bad experience in Scotland. Really good.
That's good. Good to hear. What would you say inspired you to get into all the businesses that you got into?
Well, to look after the family, to survive.
Sure.
To survive, we did work very hard. There's no doubt about it. I used to think that, I had an easy life in India, but since I'm here, always worked from day to night. The thing was, we never used to see ourselves in the mirror. And it was sometime I would just sit in the car and comb my hair, and never had any time, and never even used to see the sunlight. In the morning we used to leave the house, come back at night, and it was dark.
We
So-
didn't know there was parks at the back of our house. And now we know there's
Yeah.
walks there, there's river there, there's, you can go for a walk, you can spend a whole day at the back of the house,
Yeah.
which we didn't know it was there.
For 14 years living in this house, we didn't even know there was the woods just around us. Because we had never had a time to go. In the morning we leave the house and just come back here, straight in the kitchen, feed the kids, and
Have something to
go
eat,
to
go to
bed,
sleep.
and that's it.
In the morning again, back to work.
Same life again in the morning, and it was like day and night, the same routine. So never had a time for family. That's one thing. What I regret at the moment is that when our kids were young, we never had a time for them,
We didn't have
And-
much time to spend.
and now
with
they
them.
are away, and we miss them.
How would you say your heritage, your Indian culture and background, impacted in the work that you did?
Well, the only thing, yes, when the kids were growing, because like I said, they went to private school, and the problem was because they were the only one or two in the
They
whole
were, they were
class.
only Asian.
Asian.
Okay.
So
The whole
it was
class.
very difficult for them as well, because we used to say, oh, we don't do that in our culture, and they said, no. Well, the rest of the kids do. And the main thing which I used to miss was because they all went on holidays when it was holidays time, and summer time they'll take their kids to holidays, which never did. We
Which
never
we
had
never
a
did.
time. We never had a time to take them anywhere. So that, and not even the pictures, never mind anywhere else, because we didn't have time to go. That's the thing. Because you really regret that. I mean, life is easy for kids now. The people are working 5 days a week. They've got time for family. We never had a time for family, which was, really, the only thing what we done was, yes, we have given them the good education. At least they are well settled. But we didn't have time for them, which I always regret now. So obviously, for that we had to work hard.
That's part of Indian culture.
So that's our Indian culture. That
Culture is,
first thing we want to do is give our children the best, and the education is the primary thing we think of. That we give our children the best education. We keep ourselves, behind.
My son, I went to pick him up in a van because I owned a van.
We didn't have
And
car.
We didn't have a car. We picked him up in a van. He said, Dad, why don't you buy a Jaguar or a Mercedes? I said, buy a Jaguar or a Mercedes, what with? I say, either I pay your fee or I buy a Jaguar. Which one would you prefer? He said, I'd rather go to school.
What would you say your proudest achievement is?
Well,
Got, got our kids educated. That's,
yeah.
that's a big, we think that is a big achievement for us. They're well settled.
And they're loving kids. They're
We could ask
at
for
that
more.
time obviously it was very difficult for them. It's a different culture for them when they were growing up, but at least they understand now that still although it is a different culture, but at least they know our background, and they do follow that as well. That they take from both the cultures, which is good from both the cultures. I think it has been good that we never stop them for going out, and that they have to learn. So in that way they are more social. They know how to communicate with people, and they got confidence, which is very good, because I would say in more of traditional families where there lack of confidence, because if we are too much, we ask them not to do this, not to do that. Oh, in our culture we don't do that. But in that respect, for our children, we have done whatever we could, and we have given the best of both the cultures, which was good. And I think this is really good for them. At least where they are now, they are confident. They can stand on their feet. They can, with standing and have a conversation with a lot of people with a lot of confidence.
And are they still in Edinburgh? Or
One, my son is in Canada, my daughter is in London.
right?
They're both married, and we got grandchildren now. One, my daughter has got son who is 4, and my son has got a daughter who's 2.
Right.
So they're
And
both
do you go out and
happy.
see them, or do they come here?
They come here we go there whenever we get chance.
Mm-hmm.
We were there
When
6 months.
they come here
4
as
months
well.
ago.
So,
Okay.
but obviously now they are busy in their lives as well. So we are both alone.
What aspect of Scotland would you say is most important to you, or that you relate to the most?
Well, I would say especially where we are now, it's a lot of open space, peaceful, fresh air, good area for walking, for cycling. So that is good as well. So.
What aspects of your own Indian heritage do you kind of hold on to, or?
Well, we
feel
have our
responsible?
own temple here
Mm-hmm.
in Edinburgh, which we've been involved in for last 40 years.
Yeah, we started.
We'll give you a book
there was
when
only
we
few
started.
Indians who started that.
So there was, when we started, there was about 10 families, and now there's more than 1,000.
Wow.
A lot of IT people have come from India,
So
young ones.
there's
which
more
is
than
good. So,
1,000 people, 1,000 families here,
Wow.
in and around Edinburgh. Because we didn't know there was that many till we, really started the temple, opening it every day. And when we had the function to do the opening, the 1,100 people turned up that day. 1,100 people turned up that day,
It's amazing.
and we were really amazed.
Yeah, that is amazing.
we have got the full committee, like we run it very professionally, and one of in the committee member is Scottish, and he's been there for years. And we have prayer for 3 days. He's there, the first one to sit there for 3 days.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazing, and he does a lot of work for the temple, and he's so much dedicated. He's there all the time. He does all the prayers, and he
When
finds
we
it
put
so
the-
peaceful. He says it's great coming here.
He comes there, cleans the toilets, cleans the kitchen, take away all the rubbish, all the dirtiest job you could find, he will do it.
And he's engineer.
He's an engineer. So we still follow our own culture as well as whatever is happening here around us.
And have your feelings about Scotland changed at all over the years?
Not at all.
No?
No.
No, I wouldn't say. I think it's still the same. There's a lot of changes in Edinburgh, I would say. Yes, because it's growing and a lot of other people have come, but still the same. Yeah, it's great place to live. Recommend it to anybody.
And do you feel Scottish or part of Scottish society?
We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And did that feeling start quite quickly when you arrived, or did it take quite a few?
Yeah, when you
over
start
time?
living in a place, so you do get used to it, and you do fit in within that frames, and I would say it didn't take long.
Well, the main reason for that is I think the Scottish people are very, very friendly. That has made a lot of difference to us, because we never felt that we are Indian and or any racism, nothing at all. We never felt that, because they were always very friendly. We had a lot of Scottish friends, and we still got, and we always get on so well. So never had any problem like that.
We had a neighbor across the road. They have moved now, so they were our neighbor. They were the oldest in the street, and they moved about 2 years ago, and now we are the oldest in the street. The rest of them have just moved. All these houses have been bought by new young people, and we are the oldest one in the street. And we went to India for 2 months at a time, We left the keys with them. They came and looked after the whole house, and all the neighbors just chipped in and gave the man a hand.
That's great.
One day, there's a funny story we could tell you. One day, I told John that we would be back on March the 30th or something like that. And on 21st of March, all the lights were on in the house. And he got worried that, they're not coming back till 30th. Why, all the lights are on? And all of a sudden, he got all the neighbors to go around the back, one at the front, and because he's a retired policeman.
Right.
So they surrounded the whole house and rang the bell. And unfortunately, my son was visiting Edinburgh from Glasgow, and he opened the door and light up the whole house.
That's great. So they really look after you here, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And do you know the newer neighbours as well?
Yeah, we
Yes.
do. We do.
Yes, we all
We
get
still
together.
get together.
As well.
That's good.
Yes.
Because I find when you're closer to the centre of town, like I don't know my neighbours very well. I don't know if it's a difference being slightly further out the centre or.
No, as my husband said that before as well, that when we moved to this street, we made our effort first.
Right.
We went to everybody's house. It
We
was
went to
near
everybody's house.
near Christmas time. We took like a bottle of wine and chocolate to all the people and invite them to our house and
Right.
said that we are your new neighbors. So we took the first step. Even our neighbor across the road, she always used to say, she says, we never used to do that.
Right.
She says, we didn't even know our neighbors. She says, you started it.
Right.
And she says, and since then we always got together and all that. So it was 10 families. We always like birthdays,
Our
anniversaries.
kids got married. They were
So-
all invited to the wedding.
Yeah.
It was happened in London. But they all went to London. They all turned up in London. And,
That's great.
So I mean,
the table set up for them.
yeah.
So it was good.
But that's what they say, that you started it. It says we people can never think of that could be that friendly.
Yeah.
And there are one or two stories which you think that it doesn't cost you anything to be friendly and to love each other, and that I'll tell you one story. My daughter went to Tesco, that's 2 years ago, and she had a railway ticket which was in white envelope. It came through the post. She just had that envelope and forgot that it had ticket in it, so she wrote all the messages on it, shopping list. She got to Tesco and she left that there, thinking that it's just a piece of paper. And after half an hour or so, doorbell rings and the couple came and they said, we just saw your address, so we opened this envelope, and because it was still closed, opened the envelope, it was railway ticket. These people came all the way from Tesco, which we didn't even know who they were, and they brought that ticket for her.
Wow.
I mean, that's amazing. That I think I don't think anybody can ever think of doing these things. It was just amazing that and that says that how friendly people could be, how caring people can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would say that this is the thing we should always learn, that it doesn't cost you anything to be loving and to love your neighbors, love your family. And this is the thing, if we do it, we'll pass it to our next generation as well, and to the other people. So I think that's peaceful state. I mean, over here, all the families are here, and it's such a peaceful area. We love each other, we care for each other, and look after our neighbors, and they look after us. So it's just really great.
That's
Really
fantastic.
great.
That's great.
One day, we finished work at about 5:30 when we closed the cafe, came home, and I was sitting out there drinking a can of beer. And my neighbors, they were away on a holiday. And of course, they came, about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And we were sitting out there. I said, well, John, hi, how are you doing? How was the holiday? Good. Anyway, I said, before you go there, come and have a beer with us. So we sat there and had a beer. So this neighbor came as well. This neighbor and that one. They all came. We were sitting in the garden. I said, well, now you're all here, I'll cook something to eat. And they were here till 11 o'clock, and the rest of the people were looking, what the hell is going on here? They opened a restaurant in the garden. We were all sitting there till 11 o'clock.
I mean, now all the newcomers which are in the street now, they are young.
They're young, they got little kids.
And that's how they are learning as well. That in this street, and they feel so welcoming as well. And they feel, oh, this is great, like now they are learning from us that you get together, you look after each other, look after your neighbors. Otherwise, you know how young ones are these days, they don't have time for anybody.
Yeah.
But in this street, I mean, they are learning. That's how it should be, and it is great that we all get to know each other. Otherwise, everybody is so busy in their lives, and nobody has time for anybody.
Sure.
But in that they do know that maybe after 6 months, maybe after a year, they know that it's nice to get together and nice to know the neighbors, nice to know all the. So I mean, when we came here, our kids were so young, so all the other kids were so friendly, and they grew up together. They got married, we went to their weddings, and they have so much respect for us. We got so much love for them, we care for them.
And do you think that idea of building that community spirit, is that something that came from your Indian background, do you think? Or
Yes,
Well,
because
it certainly has,
we
because
grew up
we
like that.
We grew up like this.
That our parents always taught us that look after others, look after elders, look after children, and that's in our blood. We can't make any
Selfish.
we can't be selfish. That we always look after our neighbors, our family, and that's in our blood.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
Great. This is quite a big question, but how do you think moving to Scotland has affected your lives?
It has changed for the better.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't made it any difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed for better. That what we had in England when we moved here, we haven't looked back since. So I can't say it's made anything difficult.
I mean, the same for me. I would say that, obviously you miss your family, and sometimes you can't even go. Like we had the business, and first time I went to India was after 6.5 years, and my mom didn't even see both of my kids. She saw them first time after 6.5 years.
Wow.
It was very difficult, and even at that time there was no phone calls. There was hardly any phones in India, and then you used to send the letters. And if I'm busy, I'll become lazy not to write the letter. I remember once my mom got so much worried. She sent a telegram that, "Are you okay? That where are you? We haven't heard from you."
Yeah.
It was hard, very hard time we had. There's no doubt about it. That coming here on your own, especially for me, I had no family here. It was very hard, but you just have to live with it. If you got your own children, your own husband here, your family here, so you just got to live with it, learn to live with it. That's it. It was hard.
Okay.
I won't say that it was an easy life, and we worked for pennies. Whatever we got now, we are satisfied. Whatever we have got, don't have that much, but whatever we got, we are satisfied. At least our children are married; they are happily married. They are settled. We give them good education, so we are satisfied that way. We're not that greedy that I need this.
We have
That's it.
achieved.
What we achieved.
At the age of 52 or 53, and I haven't worked for the last 15 years.
So whatever we have got, like we have learned to live with that, and with peace, and kept ourselves happy. That's it. Like we thought, well, that's it. We got retired early because we thought in our younger age we never had a time together.
Yeah, we worked hard, so why not?
because kids never used to see my husband for days. Because in the morning when I take them to school, then after that he'll go and open the shop, and that by the time he come home they are in bed. So for days he never saw the children. It was hard, very hard time. Now you think, as I said before, that that's the only thing we regret, that we never had time.
Now we got the time and we haven't got the kids. So
But you got the grandchildren.
Yeah, but they are
yes,
far.
but they're too far away.
Do you get back to India?
We go there every year, but every January we go to India for a couple of months, and then last year and the year before we didn't go. I didn't go because my health was not all that good. So
This year after we went, after 3 years, and even then he wasn't all that good, but I just wanted to see my mom, because my mom's getting old as well, so we thought we have to go and see her as well. So we went for a few days. But as I said, when we were working, never one for 6 years, 6.5 years, and after 20 years of our marriage, first time we went together to India or to anywhere, because we never went together. Even for going out for dinner, we couldn't go. It was our 23rd anniversary when we both went out for dinner. So we never had time. Never had time to go anywhere. Go to work, come home, start working in the house.
eat, sleep.
That's it. Very hard life. But again, then I think, well, this is how it is, so we accepted it, and just have to live like that. But now it's okay. But the only thing is, then again, it's the health issue now. Then we have to see whether we can go anywhere or not.
Sure.
So
We love to travel, but sometimes we don't feel like getting up to go. But it's just one of these things.
And have you travelled around Scotland a lot?
We have seen it
not
all.
much.
Yeah,
not
we've
much.
seen it all.
Because he is not very keen on traveling. So
No. But yeah, we've
well, we've seen some of Scotland. Yes. Only when we get our guests, so we have to take them.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Otherwise,
That's often the way.
for ourselves, we don't get up and go. No.
Yeah. That's often the case.
so
when
many
someone visits
places
you.
around
Yeah.
Edinburgh. You don't have to go anywhere.
I mean, we are lucky that Edinburgh is a beautiful city. Even itself in the city is so beautiful. So if you just take around there, I think it gives you more of a peace and more of a friendly atmosphere, and really lively, I would say, atmosphere in Edinburgh, which is, it's amazing that. And we don't appreciate it until we go somewhere else, and then we come home and say, oh my goodness, this is really heaven. Really, Edinburgh is beautiful.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I think we are so lucky that God has sent us in this place, and that we are happy here.
That's great.
We had one of our friends visiting us a couple of weeks back. He came from India. And he said, what a pollution you've got in India. And he had one of these machines. And I took him for a walk up there, the woods. And he was carrying this machine with him. He said,
Checking the pollution.
He said, there's no pollution here.
Yeah, it was zero.
Is the machine
It was
working?
zero.
You weren't sure.
So, I mean, it's, you don't realize or you don't admire the place until you go somewhere else, and then you compare the two of the places. Then you realize, yes. I mean, like India is beautiful and all that as well, but it's far too much pollution there at the moment. So, so when you come here, you
They're
think.
trying to curb it,
first-
but it's going to take a long time. It's a
Yeah.
huge country.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do something.
And far too many cars and that, and too congested. We had one of our friend came from India. He says, "Oh my goodness, if I live here,
I'll live another 20 years.
I'll live another because it's so fresh air and clean and there's
But we don't have the food that you have over there, you know, the lovely fresh fruit. We have
Yeah,
food that
that's
gets
one.
sent by 3 months on a boat.
Yeah, that's one thing.
It's
Yes.
like green when it goes in, it gets here with no flavour. It might look
Yeah,
all
that's
pretty,
true.
but there's nothing
That's very
in it.
true.
Yeah.
Because when we go there, sometimes you get the vegetables, green vegetables and fruit, which is just picked up in the morning
It's
and
twice
so
a day
fresh
you
from
get
the
it.
farm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, in the morning,
yeah.
you get which has been picked the morning before, and the night one is picked up in the afternoon, and then it comes again.
Mm.
You can tell it's, you know, by the time
Yeah.
lunchtime comes, the vegetable has died.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yes.
keep on throwing water on it to freshen it up, but
Mm.
you can tell it's not fresh.
Being like I'm vegetarian, so you know I always like lived on fruit and vegetable. Yeah, when we came here, I find it very difficult because that was another reason we couldn't go out because there was no vegetarian food outside. The only thing I could eat was chips. Even the chips were fried in the fat,
Then we
so I couldn't
found
even
out
eat that.
Yeah, in the
So-
lard and
Yeah.
Dripping beef.
yeah,
dripping.
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So all
when
I
we
could
found
eat.
out-
Nothing. You
Nothing
eat
at all.
That was actually vegetarian.
No, I mean now, there's a lot of cuisines like vegetarian, Italian cuisine, and all. A lot of Indian restaurants have opened who has started all these vegetarian dishes. At that time, there was hardly any restaurants in Edinburgh anyway, and on top of that, there was no vegetarian. And if you say to anybody, yeah, that was a really strange thing. If you say to any Scottish people that I'm vegetarian, and they'll say, so what do you eat then? And I said, well, I eat
There gotta be other
vegetables
food.
and that. I said, well, how can you eat without the meat? It was very difficult for us to go anywhere to eat outside. That was another reason we couldn't go out. A, we didn't have time, and B, there was nothing for me
Nothing
to
to
eat. All I could have
mean-
was even going
No
to
wonder
any
you
cafe,
didn't go out. Yeah.
toast and beans.
Toast
And
and
that's
beans.
all. You
I'm
know,
going to
there
a
was
restaurant
nothing.
and asking for toast and beans. I say, I'm not going there.
So we couldn't go anywhere. So that was our life. That go and work, come home, and make your food and go eat and go to sleep. So that was our routine.
The same thing in
Nothing.
Spain. We went to Spain, and of course, we asked the guy, you know, there was a friend of ours with us, and we ordered the meat and all this. And he says, I said, well, what about vegetarian? He said, well, what about vegetarian? He says, what have you got? He says, we got meat and this. I said, no, we're talking about vegetables, vegetable, fruit and all this. And this dish he made up, half a melon, half a watermelon, pears, oranges. The platter was that big. I said, you could be eating this for a
He
month.
says, well, that's all we got. So you can pick whatever you want.
whatever
and just
you
eat
want.
that. I said, okay, so that's my 3-course meal. In that, that's my starter, that's my main dish, and that's my dessert as well. Then he says, well, that's all we have got.
Unbelievable.
Because they don't know what the vegetarians are. We went to traditional Spanish restaurant, so they didn't know what the vegetarian food is.
And over there, everything was barbecued, and you know, they didn't know what vegetables are.
In general, what are your opinions of immigration in Scotland? People coming into Scotland from all over the world.
Well,
We came here from all over the world.
Of course, yeah.
so.
Of course, how can we differentiate that, you know, they shouldn't be here or he shouldn't be here? Why should we do that?
If they want to live like rest of us have been living here, mixing and spreading a peace and love, so what's the harm in it? And work there, and make your this home like a city, like your own home, your hometown, and feel that you belong here, and you rather than expect from the country or rather than expect from the city, I think what the best thing is, first you think what you can give. If you
Not
think
what you
that,
can take.
not what you can take, what you can give. If you think that, you can live anywhere. And I think I would say that to anybody, that you always, if you go to any shop, you give the money first before you can have anything back in your hand. So learn to take, learn to give first rather than to take. That will be my message to anybody. And in that you can live anywhere and and make
Be
yourself
happy.
home.